Okay. Good morning, everybody. I hope, when, and for some of you, it's afternoon. Um, we are going to be talking about social media analytics today, really focusing on Twitter and Facebook. We have an ability to ask questions. If you do that, please use the chat function. It's the little circle with the ... in it. That helps us keep track of what questions you have, and we will try to answer them as we go along. So we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to, so I should introduce myself. I'm Lori Coleman. I'm the Director of Digital Strategy for Demcast. And also with me, Jamie. Jamie is Director of Outreach and Partnerships with Demcast. And if you're not familiar with our organization, we're a 501c4 nonprofit that is dedicated to helping grassroots organizations get noticed in the digital space. So we are the megaphone for the grassroots, and we want to help you navigate that digital space, which of course is even more important now than it was before COVID. So let's take a look at Twitter. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So when you're on Twitter, you can see I've just pulled up a couple of tweets of mine that you could look at. So the first one here is a tweet talking about, a call to action about the governor in Tennessee, because of course he has not closed down the state. And at the bottom of the tweet, you can see a little bubble here. That is the number of people who have commented. And then you see this little circle, that is the people who have retweeted it. You see the heart, that's 120 people who have liked it. This has to do with the sharing function of your tweet. And this little sort of graph, these 3 lines here, gives us some more information about the analytics of this tweet. So we're going to focus on that. So we're going to take a look at that. Okay, so it has the comments up here, and then it has a couple of analytics here. It has impressions, which on Twitter are the potential audience of that tweet. Okay, so it's not the same as the people I follow, because when you tweet, it goes to home screen, and a person has to be on their home screen at the time that you tweet or somebody else retweets it to be able to see it. If you follow a lot of people, if you don't get on Twitter a lot, those people aren't necessarily going to see your tweet. So, but this is the times that it was on their home screen at the time they were on Twitter. Okay. And then engagements. This is really more of an important analytic factor. So impressions means somebody potentially glanced at it, but engagements means they interacted with it in some way. So when I expand that, that tells me how many times that people clicked on the tweet and looked at the details about that, okay? And then how many people liked it, how many people clicked on my profile. So that's important to know. Let's say, especially if you're a candidate or an organization, you're looking to see, and somebody's interested in finding out more about you. And then you've got retweets. So how many times people retweeted that. If there were links in your tweet, how many times they clicked on it. So you can see in this particular case, I'll go back to it in a minute, but I have an actual link to that tweet that people can look at for more information. Also, the people who have clicked on the hashtag. So they're looking for other tweets that have something to do with this as well. Okay. So they're looking, you know, potentially to see what other people are saying about it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click out of that. So you can see that this actually has, this is not a picture, this is a link. And so when I click on that link, I have the ability to explore, you know, what's going on. Okay. And this right now is telling us some information about the COVID restrictions. Okay. All right. Hold on just a second. Okay. So that's one tweet's analytics. So again, you can see 14,000 impressions, about 1,000 engagements. Let's look at a different tweet. This particular tweet is really talking about a specific state. I wouldn't expect for it to have this same sort of response that I would in a more national tweet. Twitter tends to be more of a national focused program. But let's look at another tweet. So here's a tweet that was a bit more popular, and you know, it's got a video. Typically you see more engagements with people that have an auto playing video. People watch and pay attention to those more frequently than if there's no audio visual at all. And if and it's about 3 times as much if you have like a link or you know, a picture that might engage them. So okay. All right. So let's look at the analytics for this one. So here you can see the impressions are quite a bit different. And so they're a lot more, 152. $152,000, the media views. So now I have a video in here. So now I'm going to see how many people actually watched a part of that video. So that was a high number, right? 37,000. And here's the times that that tweet was actually engaged with. And if I want to see how that breaks down, I can go down in here and see, you know, what those details are. Okay. Any questions about looking at your individual tweets? Yeah. Okay. If that comes up, please just definitely go to the chat box and post them. Okay. Now, that's, you know, an individual analytics. So let's take a look at more of an overview of your entire account. So if you on the computer go to more and it drops down these options, you can go to a page that's called analytics. Okay. And when you do, it's going to pull you up a summary of the last 28 days. So if it's in the middle of the month, you're looking back at, you know, the last 28 days, the last 4 weeks. So how many tweets have you had? How many tweet impressions have you had? How many people have come to visit your profile? How many mentions and how many followers? So you can see the green is telling me that I'm up in all of those categories. It doesn't really say much about, you know, the who I'm reaching or what's happening with that. Okay, so let's take a look at some information. If you scroll down, it's going to start. It's going to have a look back for each month. And what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the bottom of that, and it's going to list some things. It's going to say, hey, here's the tweet that earned the most impressions. If you were mentioned in a tweet, this is the one that was the top mention. But it will also tell you about who's following you, as far as, and this is just the follower that you have, and that has the highest number of, the highest number of followers. Okay. And then it will tell you your top media tweet, which is one that you had that was embedded, one of those videos that was embedded. Okay. So it kind of just gives you an overview of like your best tweet, your top one with videos there. But here is where we're going to look at. We're going to look at all tweet activities. So when I look at all tweets, it's going to graph for me the amount of impressions that happened each day. And this is for the last 28 days. You can sort this differently. You can sort it by month. You can sort it for the last week. But let's go down here and let's look at the individual tweets. So these are just every single original tweet that I have. I can't see the analytics on tweets that I've retweeted. So this is just the tweets that you've generated from your account or your page. All right. And it's going to tell you your impressions, your engagements, and it's also going to tell you your engagement rate. So that's really something that's very important, because your engagement rate should be between 0.1 and 0.3% to be high. And engagement, so anything that's over a 0.3% to 1% is considered to be very high. So you're looking for this engagement rate here to be over 1, you know, if you're doing great, it's at 1%. If you're blowing it out of the water, you're somewhere around, you know, 3 to 4%. And then you can actually look to see, well, which of your tweets, you know, got the highest engagement rate. And that can tell you something about, you know, what are people engaging with from your account. You know, something that is very helpful to think about to increase engagement is to think about the content that you're putting out. You know, there's really no way to make a tweet go viral, let's say. It just is something that is a confluence of multiple factors. But the kind of content that you put out, you know, if you are doing it from as an organization or a candidate, the suggestion is that about a third of your tweets are educational. About a third of them are asking people to take action or mobilize in some way. And then a third is something that shows some personality, some, something that's entertaining, that's stress relief. So even from my page here, you can see, I've got sort of a funny tweet. This one is sort of a cute one. And then this is, an educational. This one is actually, encouraging people to write their representatives about vote by mail. This is reminding people who's, um, at risk during COVID. So you can just see that there's various and sundry, engagement rates there. Okay. And this over here on this side is showing the last 28 days. Again, I can sort that. I can go into just the last 7 days. And I can look to see, am I trending up? So replies, likes, retweets, I can sort of see that here. And you can see that it's saying organic impressions and how many tweets. So organic means not paid. And we can do very little social justice, political, tweets now on Twitter, as far as having those be paid or promoting those. So, this, if you had something that you were able to promote, you would be able to tell how much of your impressions were organic and how much did you get from people who wouldn't have normally seen your information through a promoted post. All right, but most of us probably on this call or webinar are not going to be able to do Google ads or promote a Twitter post because ours are likely to be political in some fashion. All right. So as you go through, you can probably see that one of the things that I particularly do is every single one of my tweets here either has a picture, a link, something else that someone can click on. Because the more clicks you get, the more engagements you get, and the higher your engagement rate is, the higher you go up in the Twitter algorithm. So you get more, it's more likely that more people see your tweet, the more engagements that you can generate around it. Okay. All right, guys, any questions on that? Okay. All right. So we are going to go look at Facebook. So here we're really talking about a Facebook page. And so when you go to your Facebook page, this is our Demcast Georgia page. It's going to give you some information here. At the very top of your page, you can go to what's called Insights. And this is going to tell you some information about what's going on with your Facebook page. It's going to give you a summary for the last 7 days. You can look at that over the last 28 days, which probably gives you some more information, okay? So you can see that Actions on page have increased. Page views increased. Page previews, and each one of these will tell you, what they mean. Okay. Page likes. So this is from that's showing an increase. Post reach. And you can see we ran a very popular ad on this page. And so that has made the engagement, the post reach really jump up. Okay. And, on Facebook, unfortunately or fortunately, you can run political related ads. So I'll show you the ad that we did. Yes, I will show you the ad that was run. Let's see. Let me go back to the page because it's okay. And it's just a promoted post here, and it's about the Georgia senator, who was facing ethics investigation. She is one of the senators who sold off stock after being prepped that the stock market would fall. And so it's a very straightforward sort of tweet or post, and the difference here is it got we reached 31,000 people, 11,000. It didn't ask anybody to do anything. It just is informative. It's educational. So, it had 45,000 or so likes, 500 shares. So this particular post got a lot of interaction. And, here's one that's pretty simple and straightforward too. And you can see the difference here. They reached 4 people, right? Instead of 31,000. So it can be quite powerful to run ads. You can run Facebook ads for, $25 or so. This particular ad is being run on a grant. And so we boosted it, I think, and ran it for 3 days. So really reaching the Georgia voters to try to educate them on what their options are. With the question, Scott says, will she face ethics review? We don't know. They've all scurried home to be out. So we'll have to see if they investigate it. Interestingly enough, she is married to the New York Stock Exchange director. All right, so we'll go back to Insight. So it's going to give you, and you'll be able to see if you do have paid, you'll be able to see the difference in the paid engagements and the promotions. So over the last week, we've reached 700 people organically and 27,000 people from promoted. Yes, we are recording this training and it will be posted on our website. And then if you will scroll down and under Insights, you will see the last published post that you've had. It will show you, again, targeting is just for the for paid posts, really. It'll show you the reach, it'll show you the engagement, And you can also from here boost your post, although I recommend that you actually just place a Facebook ad rather than boosting the post itself, because you can control a lot more about your audience that you pick. Okay. All right. If you have competitors or other pages that you want to compare, you can add a page and you can see, maybe somebody is maybe another candidate has a Facebook page and you want to see how you're doing stacked up to them. So that would be one thing that you could do here, is keep an eye on that. And if they are going, over, and they're getting a lot of engagement, go check out what they're doing. Not necessarily to copy it, but if there are things that are happening on their page that you would like to happen on yours, then it's definitely something to see how they're getting those things. All right. Jamie, do you have anything to add, either on Facebook or Twitter?
No, I think you covered everything.
So one last thing I wanted to talk about was email analytics. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. Okay. So if you are running an email campaign, some things to think about there are, anything between around a 20% open rate is really good. So you want to be thinking about, hold on. Yeah, so 15 to 25% is a typical open rate for nonprofits. I think it probably goes lower if you're a candidate and what you're sending out is only fundraising emails. So that's really your meaningful data on email. You're also going to be looking for your click-through rate. So if you have a link in your email that somebody is actually clicking into that link and viewing what you're sending out. And also your click to open rate. So that's definitely significant. So, one thing I wouldn't worry about is necessarily people who unsubscribe. They're probably not interacting with your email anyway. But if you were to see a sudden spike in unsubscriptions, you might want to think about, is that caused by something that I did? So, if it's right after, a fundraising push where you sent 15 fundraising emails out in one day, that might have just been the trigger for somebody to say, okay, that's enough. But just sort of keep that in mind, or that's some, so watch for the sudden spikes in that. But trying to keep your emails engaging, informative. Don't send out an email just because you feel like you should. Send it when there's actually things to share. And I think it's important, particularly for candidates and organizations, to send out things that are not just fundraising. Send out something that is educating the people to do that. What program do you use for mass mailings? So there's several. For grassroots organizations, I would actually recommend Action Network. It is free or inexpensive to use. It's not free, but
they recently changed their price structure to how many emails you send out.
Right.
But probably you're looking at like $10 a month. And the benefit of that is that you can do petitions, you can have people actually, you can set letter writing campaigns where it's actually, they're actually contacting their representatives, and you can tag people in it. So for smaller organizations, that's really good. And $10 a month is, you know, pretty cheap, especially when you get all of these other perks.
Right. So we use something that's similar to Action Network, but has a little bit more robust function as far as keeping track of our volunteers. We use Every Action, but we sometimes will go into Action Network to create a petition or you know, a letter writing campaign, email campaign through Action Network, and then share it through Every Action on our side. Okay. All right, so any questions? Any other questions you guys have? All right. Well, like I said, if you're new to DEMCAST, please check us out at demcastusa.com. That's our website. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and we are grassroots funded. That's why there's no cost for this webinar. So feel free to you know, share this webinar. It will be posted on our training page, which is demcastusa.com/trainings. And that's where you'll be able to see other trainings to sign up for as well. All right, we appreciate you attending. Please reach out to us if you have additional requests for trainings. You can reach us at admin@demcastusa.com, and we'd be glad to see what we can do about offering those. Thank you, guys. Bye.